Sofia Martinez was 42 years old when she realized she had spent most of her adult life treating her body like an object to be managed rather than a temple to be honored. Sitting in her adobe home in Santa Fe's East Side, surrounded by the spiritual books and crystals she'd collected over the years, she finally acknowledged a painful truth. Despite all her self-help work, therapy, and spiritual seeking, she had never truly loved herself, especially not her sexual self. As a yoga instructor and wellness coach, Sofia taught others about self-love, body acceptance, and holistic health. Her classes were filled with women seeking to reconnect with themselves, and she spoke eloquently about honoring your body as sacred. But privately, Sofia carried a deep well of shame about her own sexuality that no amount of meditation or affirmations had been able to heal. Her libido had been nearly non-existent for years. She'd convinced herself this was just part of aging, part of being a spiritual person who transcended base desires. But beneath that convenient narrative, Sofia knew the truth. She felt profoundly disconnected from her own sexual energy because she'd never learned to truly love that part of herself. Every encounter with her own sexuality was tinged with judgment. When she looked at her naked body in the mirror, she criticized. When she felt desire, she questioned whether it was appropriate or spiritual enough. When she touched herself, it was mechanical, rushed, devoid of tenderness. She treated her sexual self the same way she'd been taught to as a young woman growing up in a conservative religious household, as something shameful to be controlled, not celebrated. It was during a women's circle at her studio that something shifted. A newer participant, Elena, shared about her own journey of sexual healing through Tantric self-love practices. "I spent 40 years at war with my body," Elena said, her voice steady and clear. "And then I met a sexologist, Beto Alves, who taught me something revolutionary. You can't access your sexual power while treating your body with criticism and shame. True desire arises from a foundation of genuine self-love." The words struck Sofia like lightning. She'd been teaching self-love for years, but had never applied it to her sexuality. She loved her body's ability to do yoga poses, to look good in the right clothes, to be useful. But she'd never loved her body's capacity for pleasure, for desire, for sexual expression. After the circle, Sofia approached Elena. "How did you learn to actually love yourself sexually?" "I've tried everything. Therapy, meditation, affirmations. But I still feel so disconnected from that part of myself." Elena smiled with understanding. "That's because you can't think your way into sexual self-love. It has to be embodied, practiced, experienced. Beto teaches tantric approaches to self-love that are specifically designed to heal the shame and disconnection most women carry around sexuality." 2 weeks later, Sofia found herself walking up to a territorial-style building in the historic district where Beto Alves held his practice. The space was warm and inviting, soft lighting, the scent of copal incense, Tibetan singing bowls, and an atmosphere that felt simultaneously sacred and sensual. Beto greeted her with a presence that was grounded and welcoming. At 35, he had an ease about him that suggested someone comfortable in multiple worlds, the spiritual and the physical, the sacred and the erotic. They sat on floor cushions, and Beto began with a simple question. "Sofia, tell me, when you think about your sexual self, what's the predominant feeling that arises?" Sofia felt tears well up immediately. "Shame," she whispered, "and disappointment. Like there's something wrong with me for not feeling desire. Like I'm failing at being a woman." Beto nodded with compassion. "And how do you talk to yourself about your sexuality?" Sofia considered. Critically, impatiently. Like I'm broken and need to be fixed. "And how would you expect your sexuality to flourish under those conditions?" Beto asked gently. "If you approached a flower with criticism and impatience, would it bloom for you?" The metaphor landed powerfully. Sofia had never considered that the very way she related to her sexual self might be preventing it from flowering. Sophia, here's what I've learned working with hundreds of women, Beto said. Your libido isn't broken, but it's been living in an environment of criticism, shame, and conditional acceptance. Sexual energy is incredibly sensitive. It only emerges in an atmosphere of genuine love, acceptance, and celebration. The foundation of everything we'll do together is learning to relate to your sexual self with the same unconditional love you'd give to a beloved child or a sacred being. In the first sessions, Beto didn't focus on sexuality at all. Instead, he taught Sophia practices of loving awareness toward her body. Stand in front of a mirror, he instructed, and instead of criticizing what you see, practice blessing each part of your body. Not fake positivity, genuine appreciation for what each part of you does, has survived, makes possible. Sophia practiced at home, and it was excruciating. Years of self-criticism arose every time she looked at her reflection. But Beto had taught her to notice the critical voice and respond with compassion rather than believing it. When the critic says your belly is too soft, you don't argue with it, Beto explained. You place your hand on your belly with tenderness and say, "Thank you for holding my organs, for breathing, for digesting my food. You are beautiful, and I love you." Week by week, something began to shift. The criticism didn't disappear, but Sophia was learning to meet it with love rather than agreement. In the fourth session, Beto introduced Tantric self-touch practices. This isn't about sexual pleasure yet, he clarified. This is about learning to touch your own body the way a devoted lover would, with reverence, curiosity, appreciation. He taught Sophia to set up sacred space, candles, beautiful fabrics, music she loved. You're not just touching your body. You're creating a ritual of honoring your body as a temple, your sexual energy as sacred. Sophia began practicing. At first, touching herself with genuine love and appreciation felt foreign, almost silly. She was used to touching herself critically in the shower or mechanically when trying to fix her low libido. This was completely different. Touch your arm as if it's the most precious thing in the world, Beto had instructed. Feel the softness of your skin. Marvel at the miracle of this body that has carried you through life. As Sophia practiced, tears often flowed. She was grieving all the years she'd spent at war with her body, treating it as an enemy or a disappointing employee rather than a beloved friend. By the sixth session, Beto introduced conscious breathwork combined with self-touch. Tantra teaches that breath moves energy, he explained. When you breathe deeply while touching yourself with love, you're literally moving sexual energy through your body. Not to achieve anything, but just to let it flow, to experience it as part of your life force. Sophia practiced breathing into her belly while placing loving hands on different parts of her body, her heart, her womb, her thighs. She began to feel subtle sensations of warmth, tingling, energy moving in ways she'd never noticed before. I'm starting to feel something, she told Beto in their seventh session. It's not exactly sexual desire yet, but it's like warmth, aliveness. I don't know how to describe it. That's your sexual energy beginning to trust you, Beto said with a smile. It's been shut down for so long because the environment was hostile, full of criticism and shame. Now that you're creating an environment of love and acceptance, it's cautiously starting to emerge. The practices deepened. Beto taught Sophia tantric techniques for circulating sexual energy through her entire body, rather than keeping it localized in her genitals. Most people have a very limited experience of sexuality because they only feel it in one area, he explained. Tantra teaches that sexual energy can fill your entire being, from your toes to the crown of your head. Sophia practiced breathing sexual energy up her spine, visualizing it as golden light filling her whole body. At first, it was just visualization, but gradually she began to actually feel the energy moving, spreading, filling her with a sense of vitality she hadn't experienced in years. In the 10th session, Beto introduced practices specifically for sexual self-love. Now we're going to bring everything you've learned, the loving awareness, the reverent touch, the breath work, to specifically sexual touch. He taught Sophia to approach self-pleasure not as a means to an end, not as trying to achieve orgasm or fix her libido, but as an act of profound self-love. You're making love to yourself, Beto said. Not masturbating mechanically, making love with all the tenderness, presence, and devotion you'd bring to loving another person. Sophia created elaborate rituals at home. She'd prepare her space beautifully, light candles, put on music that moved her. She'd spend time breathing and connecting to her body before any sexual touch. And when she did touch herself sexually, it was with the same reverence she'd been practicing on other parts of her body. The transformation was profound. When she touched herself with genuine love rather than criticism or mechanical efficiency, her body responded in ways it never had before. Sensations were more intense, more expansive. But more importantly, she felt a deep sense of wholeness, of finally befriending a part of herself she'd been at war with for decades. I actually enjoyed it, Sophia told Beto, tears streaming down her face. Not just the physical sensation, but the entire experience. I felt so much love for myself, so much appreciation for my body. I've never felt that before during anything sexual. Beto's eyes reflected warm understanding. That's because you finally created the conditions for your sexual self to flourish, an environment of unconditional love and acceptance. By the 12th session, Sophia had noticed her libido returning, but with a completely different quality. It wasn't desperate or compulsive. It was grounded, connected to genuine self-love and appreciation. It was then that Beto mentioned intimate alchemy. It's a practice I've developed that brings together everything we've worked on, he explained. It's an opportunity to experience what it's like to be fully loved and honored in your sexuality by another person, while maintaining the foundation of self-love you've built. Sophia felt a flutter of nervousness and excitement. How would that work? It's conscious tantric intimacy where the focus isn't on performance or achieving anything, Beto said. It's about you experiencing what it feels like to be sexually witnessed and honored while maintaining deep connection to your own self-love. It can be powerfully healing to experience external love mirroring the internal love you've been cultivating. Sophia took several weeks to consider. This felt like a significant step, allowing someone else into the sacred space of sexuality she'd been rebuilding with such care. But something in her knew it was the right next step. When she told Beto she was ready, they spent 2 full sessions preparing. They discussed boundaries, consent protocols, and most importantly, how Sophia would maintain her practice of self-love, even while receiving touch from another. The key is that you stay connected to loving yourself throughout, Beto emphasized. I'm not loving you so you don't have to. I'm creating a mirror that amplifies and reflects the love you're already giving yourself. The intimate alchemy session took place on a warm Santa Fe afternoon, golden light streaming through the windows. The space had been prepared with intention. Fresh flowers, soft fabrics, the gentle sound of a water fountain, and the scent of rose. They began with an extended meditation, both of them sitting in silence, breathing together, creating a shared field of presence. Beto then guided Sophia through her self-love practices, placing loving hands on her own heart, her belly, speaking words of appreciation to her own body. Remember, he said softly, everything that happens today is an extension of your self-love, not a replacement for it. When they began to move toward physical intimacy, Beto continued to guide Sophia to stay connected to her own loving awareness. Feel my hand on your shoulder, he said, and simultaneously keep one hand on your own heart. You're both receiving my touch and giving yourself love. As the experience deepened, Sophia found herself in a completely new territory. Every time Beto touched her, he did so with such reverence, such presence, such genuine appreciation for her body. And rather than this replacing her self-love, it amplified it. She found herself loving her body even more in response to being honored by another. "You are so beautiful," Beto murmured, his hands moving with conscious intention over her skin. "Every inch of you is sacred." And Sophia, rather than deflecting or doubting, breathed the words in. Let them confirm what she'd been learning to feel herself. "Yes," she whispered. "I am beautiful. I am sacred." The experience moved through different phases over nearly 3 hours, sometimes tender and gentle, sometimes more intense, sometimes completely still. Throughout it all, Sophia maintained her breathwork, her conscious awareness, her practice of loving herself even as she received love from another. There was a moment when waves of sensation moved through her body, unlike anything she'd experienced before. Not just localized pleasure, but full-body ecstasy that felt equally emotional and spiritual as it was physical. And in that moment, she felt a profound integration. Her sexual self, her spiritual self, her whole self, all loved, all honored, all welcome. When they finally rested, wrapped in soft blankets, Sophia felt fundamentally changed. Not because someone else had loved her sexually. She'd experienced that before in relationships, but because she'd maintained her own self-love throughout and experienced how external love could amplify rather than replace the love she was giving herself. "I finally understand," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I've spent my whole life looking for someone else to make me feel sexually loved and accepted. But it never worked, because I wasn't loving and accepting myself. Now that I've built that foundation of self-love, receiving love from another becomes this beautiful amplification rather than a desperate seeking." The months following intimate alchemy were transformative. Sophia continued integrating her tantric self-love practices into daily life. Each morning, she spent time blessing her body. She created regular rituals of self-pleasure as acts of self-love. She spoke to herself with the same tenderness she'd give to someone she cherished. And her libido? It had returned fully, but with an entirely different quality. It wasn't need-based or validation-seeking. It arose from a deep well of self-love and appreciation for her own body's capacity for pleasure. When she started dating again, a kind architect she met at a gallery opening, she approached intimacy from this completely new foundation. She didn't need him to make her feel sexually worthy. She already felt that. Instead, their sexual connection became a beautiful dance of two people who love themselves sharing that love with each other. Her teaching transformed too. When Sophia spoke about self-love now, she included sexuality in a way she never had before. She started offering workshops on tantric self-love for women, sharing what she'd learned about creating the conditions for sexual flourishing through genuine self-acceptance. 6 months after her final session with Beto, Sophia returned for a closing conversation. Sitting in the familiar space where her journey had begun, she reflected on how profoundly her life had changed. "You know what's most surprising?" she said to Beto. "I came to you thinking I had a libido problem that needed fixing, but what I actually had was a self-love problem. Specifically, I'd never extended love to my sexual self. Once I learned to genuinely love that part of me, everything else fell into place." Beto smiled. "That's the foundation of all the work I do. Sexual energy flourishes in an atmosphere of love. When you're at war with yourself, criticizing yourself, treating your sexual self with shame or impatience, desire withers. When you create an atmosphere of genuine love and acceptance, desire blooms naturally." Sophia looked out the window at the Sangre de Cristo mountains glowing in the afternoon light. She thought about all the years she'd spent trying to fix her sexuality through willpower, through techniques, through seeking validation from others. All along, what she'd needed was so much simpler, and yet so much more profound: to learn to love herself, completely, including her sexual self. Not conditional love based on how she looked or performed, but unconditional love for the miracle of her body, the sacred nature of her pleasure, the beauty of her desire. As she drove home through Santa Fe's winding roads, Sophia felt a deep sense of peace. She was no longer at war with her body. She no longer treated her sexuality as something shameful to be controlled or broken to be fixed. She loved herself, fully, tenderly, unconditionally. That evening, she prepared a ritual bath with rose petals and essential oils. As she soaked in the warm water, she placed her hands on her heart and spoke aloud. I love you, all of you, your strength, your vulnerability, your capacity for pleasure, your sacred sexuality. All of you is worthy of love. And her body, after decades of criticism and shame, finally hearing the words it had been waiting for, responded with a warmth that spread from her heart through her entire being. A warmth that was equal parts spiritual awakening and sexual aliveness, because she finally understood they were never separate to begin with.